It must be said that an India-Pakistan air war has taught military fans, and even military experts all over the world a lesson. On May 13, 2025, the seventh day after the India-Pakistan air war, and Sung-byom, a South Korean military expert and editor-in-chief of South Korea's professional defense media, the Defense Times, published a commentary on the country's other professional aviation media, the Supersonic TV, commenting on the incident of Pakistan using Chinese J-10 fighters to shoot down Indian legal Rafale fighters in the Indo-Pakistani air war. Pakistan's use of Chinese J-10 fighter jets to shoot down Indian legal Rafale fighter jets. In the commentary, Sung-byom said that South Korea has fallen behind the times and is almost helpless in dealing with the over-the-horizon combat paradigm demonstrated in the Indo-Pakistani air war. He also said, sober, the reason why South Korea has come to this point is entirely because of the United States of America. To fool is the United States of America weapons cheat us Koreans has led to today's tragic situation. Well, first of all, let's talk about the South Koreans' point of view. The point of view is very simple. They believe that the fourth-generation aircraft era of close-range dogfighting mode has been completely obsolete, but the United States of America is not prepared for this point, which also led to the United States military system by the influence of South Korea's lack of preparedness. So they feel that they have been fooled by the United States of America's weapons. Support South Korean military experts to form this view is the fact that in this India-Pakistan conflict, India and Pakistan a total of more than 100 warplanes, but almost none of them have crossed their own national borders. Both sides are to long distance over the horizon mode of combat, which for the South Korean Air Force is still emphasizing the close combat, undoubtedly a downward spiral blow. In addition to the combat process, the outcome of the battle was equally scary for the South Koreans. The Pakistani side equipped with Chinese J-10 fighters, relying on PL-15E long-range missiles, actually easily downed 3 French-made Rafale fighters. Although the South Korean media in describing the Rafale, a 4.5-generation fighter, used the adjective thinning out, but it cannot be denied that, before the thinning out, the Rafale did have the days of the past. It is the world's first aircraft with an intrinsic electronic defense system configuration, advanced configuration, strong kinetic energy, not only has the kind of multi-role combat aircraft powerful ground-to-sea attack capability, air superiority of the old profession has also been breathtaking. After all, the avionics system of this fighter is equipped with the famous RBE-2 active phased array radar, which can perfectly cover a hotspot area of 200 kilometers and track 40 targets simultaneously. Combined with the superior maneuverability and speed brought by the fighter's 2 Snecma M882 turbofan engines, as well as the Mica medium-range air-to-air missiles and Meteor over-the-horizon missiles, the fighter's superior weaponry can be used against the enemy, whether in close-quarter dogfighting. The Meteor over-the-horizon missiles are 2 powerful weapons. Even in the US and France joint exercises, Rafale fighter jets have a record of killing and wounding F-22 at close range. Considering that once a fighter jet is out of the modern-day difference is often a one-sided massacre, the Rafale is able to kill the F-22 in the case of the generation gap backward. Close dogfighting ability can be seen. Based on this, it can be said that the South Korean Air Force focus on maneuverability fighting style. Rafale fighter can be called their dream machine. But it is this dream plane, in the India-Pakistan air war, not only failed to show the expected advantage, but in the over-the-horizon combat by the Chinese J-10 fighter easily shot down. How can this not be a blow to the South Koreans? In the past, due to the excellent performance of the American-made weapons once ahead of the whole era, a large number of the introduction of the United States of America's warplanes, the South Koreans, once on their own air superiority full of confidence that their own fighter aircraft air combat ability is very strong, can certainly be unbeatable. But after the India-Pakistan air war, the South Koreans realized that their superstitious air combat superiority is now worthless, based on the so-called advanced US-made weapons, and the formation of self-confidence, but also completely become a cloud of smoke. It is based on this status quo that the South Koreans were deceived by US-made weapons. After all, in the eyes of the South Koreans, the US has only recently introduced the AIM-174 long-range air-to-air missile, similar to the PL-15E, and simply should not lag too far behind China. They also feel that the Americans may not even know how to effectively conduct over-the-horizon operations, or how to deal with this new operational paradigm. In addition, some people use the case of the Rafale's close-range injuries to the F-22 and the US-French maneuvers to support this view. After all, the F-22 is a 5th-generation aircraft. Avionics system is unique in the world, full fully equipped to use long-distance advantage to make the Rafale cannot get close to the ability. However, in the exercise, the Rafale managed to get close enough to injure the US aircraft. Therefore, they feel that the US military still exists in the superstitious close combat inherent thinking, simply do not know how to use over-the-horizon combat, which led to the F-22 by the Rafale easily locked. However, from another perspective, this claim by the South Koreans is really nothing more than a dumping ground. Note that the key message of this passage is, the F-22 could have utilized its long-range advantage to keep the Rafale from getting close, but did not do so. This shows that the US military actually has the ability to fight over the horizon, and is by no means ignorant of it, as the South Koreans claim. Moreover, unlike what the South Koreans imagined, this US-French exercise, on the contrary, better reflects the US emphasis on over-the-horizon combat. This is because the battle, in the first place, was a specially set up close-range confrontation exercise. The fact that the Americans were shot down by the French in this battle does not mean anything, but that they are not familiar with close-range dogfights. And the reason the Americans were unfamiliar with close-range dogfighting was precisely because they had become accustomed to over-the-horizon combat. This can be concluded from the fact that the F-22 played an outstanding role in long-distance combat later on. From this point of view, the Americans are not backward in their knowledge of over-the-horizon combat, only that they are currently limited by many factors after their own deindustrialization, which makes them appear to be inferior to China. They are still in the top tier of military technology, so where is the talk of misleading South Korea? Only, there is one thing that the South Koreans are not wrong, although the Americans know how to play over-the-horizon operations, but really do not know to deal with the opponents over-the-horizon operations. This is because in the US military's past foreign operations, it has almost never encountered an opponent with complete over-the-horizon combat capabilities. That is to say, the US over-the-horizon combat capability is more in the unilateral display of power, has not really encountered the challenge of the opponent. The India-Pakistan air war, the two sides almost did not cross the border, mainly relying on long-range air-to-air missiles and advanced radar systems for confrontation. This kind of over-the-horizon combat mode between the two sides is still a brand new experience for the United States. So at present, the United States is undoubtedly the party most eager to understand the specific details of the India-Pakistan air war. And by the US military concept of South Korea, can be based on the experience of India and Pakistan, to summarize their own lessons, has also become a topic of general concern for South Korean military experts. Only from the South Koreans' consistent dumping behavior, the situation seems to remain less optimistic.